Hey, it's News from Heaven. Today we're going to be talking about your infinite potential. Did you know that you have infinite potential? I've got it too. We're both pretty potentially. But am I just trying to sell you something? I mean, what is it even? Is that just a catchy sounding phrase meant to motivate and inspire? What does it mean to have infinite potential? That's what we're going to dig into together today. Like and subscribe if you're watching this show. Click the bell for notifications. Leave a comment. Let us know. Does it work? Are these ideas helping us out? Download. Now, I'm telling you to do all this stuff. It's very rude of me, but it's just, I can't change. It's just who I am. Download the book. I mean, you can, for free, in the link in the description, follow along this number with us as we explore the infinite potential and get some tangible ideas around what that infinity could mean. It's True Christianity, Volume 1, number 349. It's a free PDF. Hope to see you there. Okay, so we begin here. Having a quantity of truths that are bound together like strands in a cable elevates and improves our faith. Truths like strands in a cable. This cable is the cable that somehow is going to lift our little selves up. You know, we got a little harness around here. Going to pull us up out of the negativity that we're in into happiness. Okay. We're not quite infinite yet, but we've got a truth cable. That's a good place to start. If all we had was an awareness of the faith that exists nowadays, it would be impossible for us to know that in its proper surroundings, faith is an array of truths. Still less could we see from today's faith that we are capable of doing something to acquire faith for ourselves. Okay. We got a couple things here. What are you talking about today's faith? Awareness of the faith that exists nowadays, it would be impossible. So here we're talking about as far as I can tell, faith alone. This was when Swedenborg was writing this stuff. The church is out there. The church is the main thought body of the society, and it's telling everybody faith is something that you can be given. You don't do anything in its creation, and all it is just you've said the right words, or you're something, and you're in this category, and that's it. That's pretty much what you can do. Now, he's saying, and maybe that's a straw man a little bit that I'm giving you there, but he's saying, if that's all you think of as faith is just this sort of metaphysical box that can be checked or unchecked, we really can't realize what that because the word faith, I mean, people use it like this is the connection to God, there's something that you can get that somehow opens you up to some kind of divine linking. It would be impossible for us to know, if we just think of it as that faith is an array of truths. This is fascinating. So let's say we got ourselves here, and you've got these little truths. I don't know what yours are, but let's say you've learned them in sacred places. To you, faith is somehow the array of these that provides us some kind of protection from the negativity outside of us. And we can do something to acquire this for ourselves. We can go out and build this. Yet faith in its essence is truth. Oh, I thought faith was like believing something you didn't know if it was true. He's saying when we get the concepts in our mind that are actually true, this is what forms faith. Faith is truth in its own light. Therefore, as truth is something that we can acquire, so is faith. We can go out and learn things, and when they come to life, something about the light of it makes it so. They become beyond just we've got some truth. We've got this condition that we're in that we call faith. It's all very mysterious. We can all turn to the Lord if we want to. Elsewhere, he describes turning to the Lord as not doing things that are harmful to other people because they're not right. That's what turning to the Lord is. We can all gather truths from the Word if we want to. You can go out and learn things. You can search around and find these truths. Every truth that is in the Word or from the Word shines, and faith is truth in light. Okay, so he's definitely making a distinction here. Faith is somehow truth in the right environment or in the right configuration, or the on switch is turned. It's not just truth, it's this light that comes with it. And where's that light coming from? The Lord, who is light itself, flows into us all. Light, and this would not be physical light. I mean, the Lord is not in all of these LED panels. in the same way, or the Lord is not them, but the Lord is spiritual light. Spiritual light being the thing by which we understand. It does the equivalent of what physical light does here. It's only because physical light's around that we can see. Spiritually, the Lord's light is how we can understand. So we've got it here, and we've got God flowing into us. Just like, the photons are going right into our eyeball and hitting the rods and cones, and they do something. The light is flowing into us. That's what's allowing us to see, just constantly zooming right into us. If we have truths from the Word, He makes them shine in us and become part of our faith. So even if you have these, let's say these little truths, we'll give them a little distinction here. Even if they're there, you have these principles that are right. Only God can come in and make them part of the condition that's called faith. And if we've got them as these little receptors, because you've had this experience, I'm sure, where you'll hear something, some kind of spiritual concept, idea, like let's say divine providence, like the Lord is managing all events so that in the end they turn out for our eternal, lasting happiness, whatever the appearance of them means, right? Which that can feel like you just said a couple of sentences or a clause or whatever that thing was, and you say it and it's there, but it doesn't really do anything. Doesn't strike me nearly as true as you've got to watch out because bad things happen, because I've seen bad things happen. So, but there can be times when, and this I fluctuate in the same way, when that concept suddenly shines, that I can really feel like this is really true. Either I'm seeing the way things have played out in my life, and I'm thinking, the chances that would go just how it needed to get me this valuable thing that I didn't realize I needed, there's got to be something there. Or it's just this sense of, I think it's there. I mean, God is working behind the scenes, to make things all right. That's when the truth was there, but God makes it shine. Then it becomes part of the faith, which is the way I see life and what directs me and protects me from the negative stuff. So we've got this inflow of God into these truths. This is what the Lord is saying in John, that we live in the Lord and His words live in us. The Lord's words are truths. So the Lord's words are truths. So this would be all the stuff you can learn in the Bible. I would say in the interpretations, in a lot of spiritual traditions, I would say the word is showing up there. However you want to define it, the idea is from the Lord, and then the Lord can bring it to life. Bring it to life in us. And that's when you feel it. That's when it goes from like, okay, I don't know why I'm loading up on this information, to this is changing the way I assess situations and interpret events. To correctly understand this statement, that having a quantity of truths that are bound together like strands in a cable, oh right, this whole cable thing, elevates and improves our faith, the discussion needs to be broken into the following points. So it's not just, before we get to those points, that there needs to be a lot of them there, but the arrangement of them matters. And you might think of truths as just, okay, you'd have like a Word document. Do people still do those? You have a Google Doc, whatever it is, with a bunch of different lines of text on it. But here he's saying that actually the arrangement matters. And look at how organic it gets. First, here's the points we need to. 1, truths of faith can be multiplied to infinity. Are we getting to the infinite potential? I think we are. Truths of faith, okay, just put your seatbelt on, come together to form structures that are like fascicles of nerves. Rather than just being sentences, Swedenborg is saying somehow truths, and who knows what a fascicle of nerves looks like. Oh, all the textbooks and all the biology people, well, I don't know. I didn't Google it before this. But let's say these nerve cells are bundled up into these little fibers. Each one, the axons and the dendrites and all that stuff, one in the ATP across the synapse, whatever they do, they are put together in this very particular way based on their form so that they can interlock and form the kind of things that let you move your arms and throw things in the air and knock over a water glass if you want. That's how specific truths are. That's the nature of truths interacting. It's not like words on a page. It's like organic structures. Come on. Like that, and that you can have different truths or concepts that can have enough of some kind of shape based on what they are, that they can fit together in sequence. Our faith, are you not entertained? Our faith improves depending on the quality of truths we have. Quantity of truths we have and how well they fit together. It's not just you're putting together your basketball roster. It's not just you got the best players. It's do their skill sets complement each other rather than they're competing for they both want the ball in their hands all the time. How well they fit together. We're trying to form this faith here. It's about the things that we've picked up, but also you've got a gap here. If you get this concept that you were missing, suddenly now we've got this whole chain that allows these other things to happen. Bum, bum, bum. However numerous these truths are, and however divergent they appear, they are united by the Lord who is the Word. The God of heaven and earth, the God of all flesh, the God of the vineyard or the church, the God of faith, the light itself, the truth itself, and eternal life. So just right here, just remember who we're talking about here. Even though, we're not going to overwhelm God by the amount of information in there, or, it sounds like even if they don't fit together as well as you think, God can work something out. So those are the points. Of course we want to unpack these. We're just going to have time for the first one here, and then you can go on, do the rest by yourselves. And this one we want to do because it has to do with this infinite potential that we're talking about. The truths of faith can be multiplied to infinity. This is clear from the wisdom of the angels of heaven, which grows forever. Isn't that something people have if they don't like the idea of living forever? Don't people say, well, you would think about after 10,000 years and you've learned everything that there is to learn. Okay, 100 billion years, you already know everything, you've already done everything, and then you're sitting around. Isn't the reason why this life doesn't have that same sort of existential dread around it, even though this life can seem very long, is because we're so obviously growing and changing. The leaps that we make, watching my daughter go from being a little teeny baby. I was just watching videos of her the other day, just seeing how she's changed in the last couple of years. We advance in all these amazing ways. And still, I'm different than I was 5 years ago. And I feel like the excitement of learning things that matter, when I learn things that help me do this program better, or work with our team better, or fix the pump in the basement better, those sorts of things are like, wow, once you get that, it's exciting. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is strange. It feels like you don't care about time. You care about doing the next thing. So the angels' wisdom, what they know about life and how they live it out, is always in that state of improvement. Forever. In fact, the angels say there is never an end to wisdom. And that starts to get into, really? You could never exhaust it? Yeah, not even close. That gives a sense of like, wow, God is actually this thing a little beyond my comprehension, right? Wisdom has no other source except divine truths that have been analytically divided into forms by means of light flowing in from the Lord. I love that. Wisdom has no other source. So what is making this wisdom that angels continue to progress in? Divine truths that have been analytically divided into forms. So you've got your raw materials, your process, and your tool, light flowing in from the Lord. Somehow that is continually rearranging and breaking up those things and putting them in a new form. I think of it like you think of the circuit boards or whatever they do, computer chips, the stuff that's inside stuff like this that continues to make it smarter and smarter. We're rearranging things and making things smaller and more interconnected, and I don't know, it's a mystery to me. But it continues to make the process of shooting electricity into this thing and it outputting something more and more complex. So it is in the mind. And, okay, we're talking about angels, but that doesn't have to do with you and me. Human intelligence that is truly intelligent has the same source. So now it's not guaranteed. You can fill your mind with all sorts of nonsense, but we can tap into this progression now. We can be on this escalator, this forever improvement escalator now. Divine truth can be multiplied to infinity. So we've got divine truth that can be the source of our intelligence, and that very same divine truth can be multiplied to infinity. Therein you have infinite potential to grow wiser and more happy. Because the Lord is divine truth itself, or truth in its infinity. That's what God is an infinite well of truth. Not even, you think about, sorry, I know I'm stopping a lot here, but you can think about an infinity of stuff that's not really that complicated, and it's a little easier to think of. If you think about the universe infinity, it's still mind-boggling, but a lot of the universe is empty space. It follows a basic pattern where you've got your, and I'm not trying to talk it down, it is amazingly complex, but it's like planets and stars, and I can sort of start to comprehend what an infinity of that would be like. But an infinity of distinct concepts that you would always be able to reach another one, to me that strikes me as, this is crazy. But okay, so now I'm thinking of it. The planet thing is too. The universe thing totally is, but whatever. Did I make a point? I don't know. He attracts all people, check this out. He attracts all people toward himself. But because they are finite, angels and people are unable to follow that current of attraction except to a limited extent. The force of attraction towards infinity persists all the same. I once had somebody, when I was going through something hard, tell me, just remember, the gravity from hell is finite, but the gravity from the Lord is infinite. The Lord is pulling us in an infinite way, and we can follow it to our limited extent, which means we're always going to be able to do it, but you're never going to run out. And you just think about the amount of truth that could potentially be on the way, because you might say, I've got everything that I need. I've got these truths here. They're all, and I'm going to run out of, even if you'd say there's unlimited space, there's only going to be a few things that I can really latch onto. I know my mechanism may stall, but the Lord's word, this will be the aggregation of divine truth, is an ocean of, and as well as Swedenborg believed, the pages of the Bible have, through correspondences that our access point to them, is an ocean of truths, vast and deep, from which all angelic wisdom comes. Vast and deep. Although those of us who do not know about its spiritual and heavenly meanings, the word appears to hold no more than a jug of water. Swedenborg is talking about the Bible here. I was like, there's nothing in here. There's not really good ethics. There's a bunch of weird stuff. It's not even that long in terms of, if you're looking at infinity, but he's saying in there, it's like an index to the greater reality that has this ocean of truths. You probably haven't, but have you ever been at the ocean and you were thinking about the correspondence of water to truth, and you think about just a little part of the splashy part on the wave being some amazing idea that you've latched onto and you've loved, and then you look up and see how much water is there? I've done that, and you get this there's so much. There's so much in that, and you're just seeing this one tiny part of the ocean. Then you start to get a sense of there's infinite potential here. And if you think of the joy by which you welcome a particular truth into your life, a particular concept that's lifted the veil for you, the darkness for you, that's set you free in some situation, some concept, you think of that as just one little bit of water. And how many more experiences like that you can have, some idea or action that you brought into your life that's brought you joy. There's a lot. There is infinite potential in that. The multiplication of truths to infinity is like human sperm, maybe a little bit less elegant of an example, but maybe not if you think about the amazingness of reproduction, one of which can lead to whole extended families that exist for tens of thousands of years. Obviously, those people reproduce as well, but if you think about one seed, then everything, plants, animals, it wants to go on and on and on forever. Swedenborg often makes this point of you can start something that goes forever just from one thing. So if you think of one truth in your mind, can go and go and go. The proliferation of truths of faith is like the proliferation of seeds in fields and gardens. They're capable of generating hundreds of millions of plants, continuing without end. So that, I know you can see that when you're trying to manage a piece of land that somebody else planted something on 1,000,000 years ago, and it keeps popping up, even though you're like, wait, I'm trying to convert this to something else. Those plants want to keep going and keep going forever. That's just like every idea that you have, every truth is like, no, here's the next phase. Here, every individual truth could do millions and millions of generations. If you look at the evolution of life on Earth, it's just like this next generation, and all these new forms came out of these previous forms. It's amazing. It's amazing. And the word seed has no other meaning than truth. Field means a body of teaching, and garden means wisdom. The human mind is like soil, in which both spiritual and earthly truths can be planted like seeds and can multiply without end. We derive this attribute from the infinity of God. He is constantly present in us with his light and warmth and his generative ability. You can, and I'm thinking about the progression of life on Earth, because I think about back when I was a kid, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. Of course I was. And just thinking about the different forms that life moved through, like back when it was mainly amphibians on land, and then there's dinosaurs popping up, and then there it gets to the age of giant mammals, and it's just so, the new forms that emerge, the new abilities is so exciting. That all is going to take place in us. We have our whole future ahead of us in this new amazing proliferation that you couldn't even fathom compared to, if it started with single-celled things or however. That's exciting. That's the infinite potential. Each one of us can be our own universe like that. And then when we all join ours together and link to the common good, it's still this tiny drop compared to the ocean of potential in God. And we're going to be expanding and having that joy more and more forever. There's infinite potential. So that's the news from heaven. Hopefully that gets you lifted up. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know. How does this affect you? How do you use this in your life? That's the point. Thank you for spending a little bit of time. Obviously, I like talking about this. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep. If you did, that's fine. Wake up. The video's over. Okay. See you soon.